The medbay was quiet but alive with subtle energy. Dr. Wren and technician Nia had spent cycles observing and interacting with the patient. Every blink, every pulse, every neural signal had been recorded and studied. And now, after weeks of careful observation, the patient's communication was no longer a mystery. Patterns were becoming clearer, deliberate, and comprehensible. Wren leaned over the tablet, tracing the neural signals. Each pulse now seemed like a rhythm of thought. Each blink appeared to carry a small message, a confirmation of understanding. For the first time, Wren felt the presence before him was not just a patient or a guardian. It was a teacher, a messenger, a living memory of human achievement. "It is ready," Wren whispered to Nia. "The signals, they are forming complete patterns. I can almost interpret them as language." Nia's eyes widened. "So it is trying to speak to us fully?" Wren nodded slowly. "Yes, not words like ours, but something older, something foundational. It is sharing what it was built to preserve." The patient blinked slowly, deliberately, as if confirming his observation. The neural tracers pulsed in rhythm with the blinks, sending a wave of information that seemed almost musical. Wren felt a thrill of understanding. After centuries of waiting, the patient was finally revealing its purpose. "It remembers humanity," Nia said softly. "It has been waiting to find us, to verify that humans are still alive, still capable of learning." Wren leaned closer. "We need to respond carefully. Every action matters. Every observation matters. We must show it that humanity is alive and worthy." They decided to test a new approach. Using a combination of light signals, subtle vibrations, and careful gestures, they attempted to create a simple conversation. The patient's responses were immediate and precise. Blinks followed the signals, patterns appeared on the neural tracers, and the rhythm of its pulses echoed back their gestures. "It is communicating with us directly," Wren said, awe in his voice. "Not randomly, purposefully. It knows we are human, and it is responding accordingly." Hours passed as they refined the interaction. Every gesture, every blink, every pulse became part of a growing dialogue. The patient seemed to enjoy the interaction, if that was possible. It adapted, adjusted, and responded in ways that reflected understanding and intelligence. Wren realized that the patient was no ordinary life form. It was a living archive, a guardian of knowledge and a reminder of what humans had once achieved. And now, after centuries, it was sharing that knowledge, teaching them, and confirming that humanity had survived. "We are learning from it," Nia said quietly. "It is showing us the principles of creation, preservation, and intelligence. Everything humans once knew, it has kept alive for us," Wren nodded. "And it waited for humans to arrive, to respond, to prove that we are worthy of understanding." The patient blinked slowly again, and the neural tracers pulsed in response. The patterns were clearer now, almost readable. Wren studied them carefully. The signals were structured, deliberate, and full of information. They contained knowledge of energy systems, mechanical principles, and intelligence design. They were instructions, lessons, and memories all in one. Wren and Nia worked tirelessly, documenting every detail. The patient's signals revealed a history of human ingenuity, the principles of creation, and the wisdom of patience. Each pulse seemed to echo the care and intelligence of its creators, a living proof of human potential. "It is incredible," Nia said, her voice filled with wonder. "It has preserved knowledge that we thought was lost. And now it is giving it to us, waiting for us to understand." Wren felt a deep sense of pride. Humanity had created something extraordinary, something capable of surviving centuries, traveling across the void, and waiting patiently for recognition. And now, that creation was finally fulfilling its purpose. He decided to try a bold approach. He activated a holographic projector and created simple symbols that mimicked the patterns in the neural tracers. He repeated them in a sequence, hoping the patient would understand. The patient blinked in response, and the neural signals mirrored the patterns almost perfectly. Wren's heart raced. It was a dialogue, a true conversation without words but full of meaning. "It recognizes our attempt to communicate," Nia said, "and it is responding. We are connecting." Wren realized the significance. This patient was not only verifying humanity, it was teaching them to reconnect with the knowledge and wisdom of the past. It was a living bridge between what humans once created and what they could become again. The orbital sun shifted outside the medbay windows, casting long reflections across the room. The stars outside seemed still, but within the medbay, life and intelligence moved with a quiet intensity. The patient's eyes blinked and the neural tracers pulsed in rhythmic harmony. Ren spoke softly. "We are humans. We are here. We are ready to learn and remember." The patient blinked once, slowly, deliberately. The pulse on the neural tracers aligned with the words, echoing the rhythm of recognition. Ren felt a surge of emotion. Humanity had created something extraordinary, and now it was responding to them. Hours passed. Ren and Nia continued the interaction, refining gestures, observing responses, and documenting every signal. The patient's blinks, pulses, and patterns became more complex, forming sequences that conveyed knowledge, history, and purpose. Ren realized that the patient was teaching them not just about itself, but about humanity, about the potential they had once reached, about the creativity, patience, and ingenuity that had allowed humans to build wonders capable of surviving centuries. "It is giving us a gift," Ren said quietly. "Knowledge, memory, and a reminder of what humans can achieve. We must honor it, learn from it, and continue." Nia nodded. "It is showing us the way, and it has waited for centuries to do so. We are the first humans to understand it fully." Ren felt a sense of awe and responsibility. This patient was more than a being. It was a living record, a guardian, a teacher, and proof of the endurance of human ingenuity. It had waited patiently, silently for centuries, and now humans were finally ready to listen. He decided to test the final step. Using a combination of gestures, lights, and vibrations, he attempted a sequence that represented acknowledgement, a declaration that humans were alive, capable, and ready to continue the legacy. The patient blinked in perfect rhythm. The neural pulses responded, forming a complex pattern of light, rhythm, and energy that mirrored the gesture perfectly. Ren and Nia watched in awe. The scanner displayed a final confirmation. Confirmed, humanity active. Ren could hardly believe his eyes. After centuries of waiting, after isolation and silence, the patient had finally verified that humans were alive, capable, and present. The long legacy of human ingenuity had endured. Nia smiled. "It did it. It recognized us." Ren nodded, overwhelmed with pride and wonder. "We have been confirmed. Humanity still exists and it knows we are worthy." The patient's eyes blinked slowly, deliberately, almost as if smiling. The neural tracers pulsed in perfect harmony, like a song of recognition, acknowledgement, and celebration. For the first time, Ren understood the true purpose of the patient. It was a guardian, yes, but also a messenger. It had traveled across centuries waiting for humans capable of recognition. It had preserved knowledge, principles, and memory. And now it had found them, verified their presence, and shared its wisdom. Hours passed, but time felt different in the medbay. Ren and Nia continued to observe, communicate, and document. Every blink, every pulse, every pattern reinforced the reality of the moment. Humanity had been verified, and a bridge to the past had been restored. Ren spoke softly to the patient. "Thank you. We will remember. We will learn. We will continue." The patient blinked slowly, deliberately. The neural pulses aligned with the words, forming a final clear pattern. A message of recognition, acknowledgement, and completion. Outside, the stars rotated in silent orbit. Inside, a living record of human ingenuity, a guardian of memory and a teacher of wisdom rested on the table. And humanity had been confirmed. Ren and Nia sat back, exhausted but exhilarated. They had witnessed something extraordinary. They had interacted with a being that had survived centuries, preserved knowledge, and waited patiently for humans to prove themselves worthy. The patient blinked once more, slowly and deliberately. Its purpose had been fulfilled, its mission complete. Humanity was alive, recognized, and ready to continue its legacy. And in that quiet moment, the medbay felt alive with pride, knowledge, and the unbroken thread of human ingenuity. Humanity had created wonders capable of surviving the void. And now those wonders had found humans again, confirming that their legacy was intact, enduring, and alive. Ren smiled faintly, watching the patient. "We have been verified, and now we must honor what it has taught us." The patient blinked once more. A final confirmation, a final acknowledgement. Humanity was active, present, and ready to continue. For the first time in centuries, humans and their creation shared understanding, recognition, and the knowledge that the future was still theirs to shape. The medbay lights glowed softly over the patient's still body. Dr. Wren and technician Nia had been observing for cycles, documenting each blink, each movement, each subtle signal. Yet the mystery deepened. The patient's presence was alive, but not just in the human sense. It seemed to hold another layer of reality, one that existed beyond the scanners and the machines. Wren leaned over the tablet, studying the neural traces. He had run the signals through every algorithm in the hospital system. Nothing had matched. Every pattern, every pulse, every rhythm was unique, and yet somehow it was not random. "Look at this," Wren said, pointing to a subtle fluctuation in the neural data. "The pulses are repeating. But it is not a simple rhythm. It is coded, some kind of message. We just do not understand it yet." Nia tilted her head, studying the display. "It is like a language," she said. "But not like any language we know. It is older. Something fundamental." Wren nodded slowly. "Older than the colonies. Older than our digital records. This could be human in origin, but from a time we no longer remember. A project from before the Great Collapse. Maybe something created to survive, to observe, to wait." The thought made both of them pause. Could it be possible? Could a human creation survive centuries in space, waiting for humans to appear again? Wren felt a shiver of awe, and yet the evidence was in front of him. The patient was alive, aware, and it was sending messages in a form they could barely understand. He activated a high-resolution neural tracer. Tiny lights danced across the patient's brain, mapping the signal in ways even their most advanced scanners struggled to follow. The patterns moved like flowing streams, repeating, twisting, forming shapes that were almost symbolic. "It is trying to speak to us," Wren whispered, "not with words. With patterns. With thought." Nia adjusted the scanner. "How do we respond?" Wren hesitated. "Carefully. We cannot assume anything. We have to respect the process. Whatever this is, it is ancient and intelligent. It has waited a long time for recognition. We have to show that we are worthy of communication." They spent hours observing the neural patterns. The patient seemed to respond to attention, to focus, to deliberate observation. Each time Wren or Nia changed their approach, the signal shifted. They learned quickly that subtle gestures and attention could provoke meaningful responses. At one point, Wren decided to test the reaction to a simple pattern of lights. He arranged 3 soft pulses in a sequence on the medbay panel. The patient's eyes followed them, and a corresponding pulse appeared in the neural data. He repeated the sequence, changing the rhythm slightly. The patient mirrored the changes, responding as if acknowledging the experiment. "It understands us," Wren said softly. "It is aware of what we are doing. And it is engaging willingly." Nia's hands trembled slightly as she recorded the readings. "This is incredible. It is alive in a way we cannot fully measure. It is conscious, but more than that, it has memory. Ancient memory. A purpose," Wren nodded. "Purpose is the key. Whatever this is, it was created with a reason. It was designed to wait for humans and to verify that humans still exist. And now it has found us." They continued the observation, refining their methods. They used light patterns, gentle vibrations, and even the rhythm of their own voices. Each time, the patient responded, sending back signals that were clear in their own subtle way. It was like watching a conversation unfold without words. Wren leaned closer to the patient's face. "We need to try something more direct. Let us see if we can isolate a single neural signal and attempt to interpret it as a message." Nia adjusted the equipment carefully. The scanner's sensors focused on the smallest activity in the brain, tracing the flow of energy in detail. Slowly, a faint pattern began to emerge. Lines of information repeated in sequences that hinted at structure. Wren could almost see shapes forming, like symbols, like letters. "It is deliberate," he said, his voice low. "It is creating patterns to be understood. It is trying to tell us something." Nia's eyes widened. "Do you think it knows who we are?" Wren nodded slowly. "I think it knows. And I think it has been waiting for this exact moment, waiting for humans capable of recognizing it." They spent another cycle attempting to match the patterns with known human codes. Nothing matched exactly. Yet as they worked, they began to recognize repetition, familiar sequences, hints of language embedded in the neural data. Wren's mind raced. Could it be that this patient carried a message from the past? A memory encoded not just biologically but purposefully? He thought of the ancient human projects, the guardians and constructs designed to survive time and space. Perhaps this patient was one of them. Perhaps it was proof that human ingenuity could endure the void of the galaxy. He activated a different scanner mode, focusing on the subtle electromagnetic pulses within the brain. The readings were astounding. Streams of energy moved through the neural network, not randomly but like a flowing conversation. Patterns within patterns, signals nested within signals. It is more than alive, Naya said, awe in her voice. It is intelligent, and it is teaching us something about ourselves. Ren considered this carefully. Perhaps the patient was not just verifying humanity. Perhaps it was reminding them of what humans had once created, what they were capable of achieving. He realized that the patient was not just a mystery. It was a guide waiting for humans to recognize it and understand it. He spoke softly to the patient. We are here. We are humans. We are listening. We want to understand. The patient blinked slowly, deliberately. A faint pulse appeared in the neural data, echoing the rhythm of his words. It was acknowledgement, recognition, connection. Ren and Nia worked tirelessly, documenting every interaction. Each pattern, each blink, each pulse was carefully recorded. Over time, the neural signals began to form more complex sequences, as if the patient were attempting to teach them a language older than the colonies, older than the systems they relied on. Ren realized that the patient's purpose was clear. It was not seeking care. It was seeking understanding. It was verifying that humans still existed. And in doing so, it was reminding them of the ingenuity, patience, and perseverance that had once allowed humans to create wonders capable of surviving centuries. The orbital sun shifted across the sky outside the medbay windows. Hours passed. Ren and Nia did not leave. They continued to observe, to interact, to learn from the patient. Every blink, every subtle movement, every neural pulse was a lesson in persistence, intelligence, and humanity. Ren paused to take a deep breath. This patient is more than we imagined, he said softly. It carries knowledge, memory, and proof of what humans can achieve. It has waited centuries for this moment, and now it has found us. Nia nodded, eyes wide. We have to be careful. We must respect it. It is ancient, intelligent, and patient, and it chose to communicate with us. Ren studied the patient's eyes, calm and aware. Each blink was deliberate, each pulse precise. It was waiting, patient and intelligent, guiding them toward understanding. He felt a sense of awe and pride. Humanity had once created wonders, and here was proof that those wonders had endured. The patient was not just alive. It was a reminder of the potential of human creation, waiting for humans to recognize it, to respond, to prove that they were still worthy of that intelligence. As the stars rotated silently outside the windows, Ren and Nia worked late into the cycle, observing, documenting, and communicating with the patient. Every moment brought new understanding. Every signal revealed subtle intelligence. Every blink was a message waiting to be understood. By the end of the cycle, Ren knew they were on the edge of discovery. The patient was no longer a mystery in the ordinary sense. It was a living bridge between the past and the present, between human ingenuity and the potential for the future. Ren leaned back in his chair, exhausted, but exhilarated. He looked at the patient lying calm and aware on the table. The eyes blinked slowly, deliberately, almost as if saying, "We have waited. You are ready to listen." He knew that the next steps would be delicate. Every interaction had to be measured. Every signal had to be respected. The patient was intelligent, patient, and aware. It was teaching them about itself, about humanity, and about the persistence of life across time and space. And deep within the subtle patterns of its neural signals, the patient held a message waiting to be fully understood. A message about the endurance of human creativity, the potential for intelligence, and the unbroken thread that connected the past to the present. Ren smiled faintly. Humanity had created something extraordinary, something that had waited centuries to find them, and now, for the first time, humans were ready to respond. The patient blinked again, slowly, deliberately. A connection had been established. The first step toward understanding had been made, and the bridge between the past and the present was now alive, aware, and waiting for the next moment of recognition. The medbay had fallen into a quiet rhythm. Dr. Ren and technician Nia had spent cycles observing the patient. Each blink, each pulse, and each subtle neural pattern had been documented. The room felt charged with anticipation, though no one spoke. Even the hum of the machine seemed more attentive, as if they sensed the significance of the moment. Ren stared at the patient, studying the faint signals flowing across the neural tracers. The patterns were growing more complex. Unlike before, the sequences now seemed almost deliberate, structured in a way that suggested memory, history, and purpose. He tapped a finger against the table. "It is trying to tell us something," he said softly. "I am sure of it. Not random, not instinct. Purposeful." Nia adjusted the secondary scanner, following the faint energy streams flowing within the patient. "It is different from any human consciousness we have recorded," she said. "It is intelligence, but built for a reason. Not born but created," Ren nodded slowly, "and that reason must be connected to humans. Look at the pattern. It is verifying something, waiting for something only humans can provide." They both studied the signals in silence. Ren's mind raced. The patient's structure, while human in appearance, seemed to contain more than just biological systems. Deep within the neural network were what appeared to be mechanical circuits. They were integrated seamlessly, almost organically, as if the patient were part human, part machine. "It is a construct," Nia whispered, as if saying it aloud made it real. "A guardian from the past." Ren's eyes widened. The thought had occurred to him before, but seeing the evidence made it undeniable. The patient was not just alive. It was built to survive, to preserve knowledge, to protect, to observe. And now, after centuries, it had found humans again. He activated a special protocol designed to interpret faint energy signals from synthetic and hybrid neural systems. Lights shimmered across the patient's body as the tracer mapped deeper layers of consciousness. For the first time, faint shapes began to appear within the data, almost like symbols or letters. "It is showing us a message," Ren said, "a memory embedded in its system." "Look closely," Nia leaned in. "I can see it. It is human, but old, ancient, a record from a time we no longer remember." Ren's heart raced. The patient was more than a guardian. It was a living archive, a bridge to a time before the Great Collapse. Humanity had lost so much in the centuries of expansion and disaster, and yet here was proof that something had endured. Something created to survive, to wait, and to find them. He spoke softly. "We are listening. We are humans. We want to understand. Teach us." The patient's eyes blinked slowly, deliberately, and a pulse moved through the neural tracers. A faint light flickered across the patterns, almost like a response. It was subtle, but Ren recognized it immediately. The patient was acknowledging them, guiding them, and preparing to share its memory. Hours passed as they worked. Ren and Nia observed, interacted, and learned from the patient. Each signal, each pattern, each blink revealed fragments of knowledge. It showed them hints of construction methods, energy flows, and the principles of intelligence built to survive time and space. "It is incredible," Nia said quietly. "It is teaching us. And it has been waiting for humans to arrive, to respond, to recognize its purpose." Ren felt a profound sense of pride. Humanity had once built wonders, machines of intelligence and patience capable of waiting centuries for the right moment, and now that creation had found them, seeking verification that humans still existed, that their ingenuity and spirit were alive. He adjusted the scanner to focus on neural energy, following the faint pulses within the mechanical circuits. Patterns emerged, not random but ordered, deliberate, and almost musical in their rhythm. The patient's system was sharing a language of logic and purpose, one that required attention, care, and patience to interpret. Ren realized something profound. This was not merely a medical case. It was a lesson, a test, and a verification of human continuity. It was proof that the creativity, patience, and vision of humanity could endure the void of space and time. He looked at Nia. "Do you understand? This is more than life. It is a message, a record, proof that human creation survives." Nia nodded slowly, "and it waited for us. It waited to see if humans are still capable of understanding, capable of learning, capable of continuing the legacy." Ren studied the patient again. The eyes blinked slowly, deliberately, as if confirming that they had grasped the meaning. The neural pulses followed a distinct rhythm, almost like words forming in a forgotten language. He spoke again, softly and carefully. "We are ready. We will learn. Teach us what we must know." The patient's eyes followed him, and the neural tracers pulsed in response. Lights shimmered across its body, faint symbols appearing in the data. Patterns repeated, nested within patterns, forming a web of information that was both biological and mechanical. Ren realized that the patient's memory was vast, not limited to the present. It contained records of human innovation, the principles of construction, energy management, and intelligence design. It was as if someone from the past had built a guardian to preserve knowledge until humans returned to recognize it. "It is showing us human ingenuity," Ren said quietly. "Not just the machines, but what humans were capable of creating. And it wants us to remember, to learn, to continue." Nia's eyes were wide with wonder. "It is alive, but it is more. It is proof of human potential. We have to respect it, understand it, and preserve what it teaches us." They continued their work, hours passing like minutes. The patient responded to each action, each gesture, each pulse of energy. Every blink was deliberate. Every neural signal a fragment of memory, a piece of knowledge waiting to be understood. Ren realized that this was more than discovery. It was a partnership. The patient had waited centuries for humans capable of understanding it, and now that they were here, it was guiding them. It was sharing its memory, its purpose, and its knowledge, waiting for humans to prove themselves worthy of it. He leaned closer to the patient, studying the patterns forming in the tracers. "You have waited a long time. You have preserved knowledge, purpose, and memory. We are here. We are ready. Teach us everything you can." The patient blinked once, slowly, deliberately. Its neural pulses formed a distinct rhythm, almost like applause. Ren felt a thrill of understanding. The patient was teaching them, but it was also acknowledging their presence, verifying their readiness. Hours turned into cycles. Ren and Nia did not rest. They observed, documented, and interacted with the patient. Each pulse, each blink, each subtle movement was recorded. The patient's memory unfolded slowly, revealing fragments of human ingenuity, principles of design, energy systems, and intelligence. Ren realized that humanity had once created wonders capable of surviving the void. And now those wonders had found humans again, waiting to share knowledge, waiting to verify that humans were still worthy of understanding. Nia adjusted the scanners to follow the faintest signals within the patient's hybrid neural system. "It is showing us the path," she said softly. "Not just what humans created, but how humans can continue. It is teaching us responsibility, care, and patience." Ren nodded. "And it has waited for centuries to do so. It is a guardian, a teacher, and a living memory of humanity's potential." The patient blinked again, slowly, deliberately. Its neural pulses formed patterns that were almost symbolic, almost musical. Ren realized that they were witnessing a conversation across time, space, and human ingenuity. He felt awe and pride. Humanity had created something extraordinary, capable of surviving the void, preserving knowledge, and waiting patiently for humans to recognize it. And now that creation was guiding them, teaching them, and verifying that they were still alive, capable, and worthy. Ren spoke softly. "We understand. We are humans. We are ready. We will learn and remember." The patient's eyes followed him. The pulses continued in deliberate patterns, forming a rhythm of memory, knowledge, and purpose. It was alive, aware, and waiting for humans to continue the journey. Ren and Nia worked through cycles, observing, learning, and documenting every detail. The patient's presence was no longer a mystery. It was a living record of humanity, a guardian of memory, and a guide for the future. And as the orbital sun passed across the sky outside the windows, the patient blinked once more, slowly, deliberately. A silent acknowledgement, a confirmation. A connection had been made. Humanity had created something extraordinary, something that had endured centuries in silence, something that had waited patiently for recognition. And now the patient had found them. The orbital hospital remained quiet as Dr. Ren continued his observations. The figure on the table had not moved beyond slow, deliberate blinks, yet each blink seemed to carry intelligence. Ren felt a strange mixture of curiosity and unease. He had studied strange medical anomalies before, but nothing like this. Every reading, every signal, every pulse was a puzzle beyond explanation. Technician Nia was at his side, carefully analyzing the scanner data. Her fingers flew across the touchscreen, adjusting settings and rerunning tests. "It's unlike anything we've recorded," she said, her voice calm but tinged with wonder. "The vital signs are inconsistent. Sometimes they appear human, sometimes not at all, Ren nodded. And the neural patterns are even stranger. Look at this sequence. He swiped through the tablet, showing a series of jagged, repeating lines that seem to form patterns. It's as if the brain is transmitting information, but in a language we cannot decode. Nia leaned closer. Could it be an alien signal? She asked cautiously. Ren shook his head. No, this feels human. Not fully biological, but human. Look at the structure of the brain activity. The layout is human, but the function is beyond us. The body is alive, but the signals are artificial in a way. The patient's eyes opened slowly, tracking their movements with precision. Ren realized it was observing them, analyzing them as they analyzed it. He felt a shiver of excitement. This was not a patient waiting for care. This was something that had waited for humans. Something that wanted to know they still existed. He tapped the tablet. We need to try a different approach. Non-invasive scanning has limits. Let's see if we can isolate a signal without disturbing the body. We need to listen before we try to touch. Nia adjusted the equipment and activated a sensitive neural tracer. Lights danced across the patient's body as the device began mapping the signals. Slowly, almost imperceptibly, a faint pattern emerged. Lines of data formed shapes, curves, repetitions. Ren stared at it, feeling both awe and disbelief. It's communicating, he whispered. Communicating with us? Nia asked, eyes wide. I think it's waiting for a response. It knows we are human, Ren said, his voice quiet. Somehow it knows. The scanner emitted a soft hum as the signal strengthened. Small bursts of light traced the body's neural paths, forming intricate networks. Ren could see faint glimmers of information traveling across the patient's brain. The patterns were too complex for their equipment to fully decode, but it was clear they were not random. He leaned closer. It is trying to tell us something. Not words, not language. Something older, something foundational. Nia frowned. Foundational? You mean, like instinct? Ren shook his head slowly. Not instinct, memory, old memory. Something that knows what humans are, what humans represent. It is checking us. It is verifying that we are still alive. The thought made Ren pause. Could this being have traveled far? Maybe for centuries, searching for humans. He had heard legends of automated guardians, artificial constructs built by humanity long ago to protect life in the galaxy. Most stories called them myths. Most scientists dismissed them. But now, in front of him, the possibility felt real. Ren adjusted the scanner's frequency, focusing on the subtle signals in the patient's neural network. The patterns began to shift as if responding to the new settings. A slow rhythmic pulse formed in the data, almost like a heartbeat, but different. The patterns were deliberate. The patient blinked once, twice, then paused, waiting. Nia's fingers trembled slightly as she recorded the readings. It's adapting to us. Whatever it is, it learns quickly. Ren felt a sense of pride, a strange thrill. Humanity had once created wonders, machines, and constructs capable of great intelligence. Perhaps this was one of them. Perhaps it was proof that human innovation could survive the void of space and time. He decided to try something new. He placed his hand near the patient's, careful not to touch. If you can understand us, blink twice, he said, his voice steady. The patient's eyes followed his hand. After a pause, it blinked twice. Ren's heart raced. It was a response. Communication, simple but deliberate. Nia leaned in. It understood you? I think so, Ren said. It knows we are human, that we are alive. And now it is waiting for us to respond further. Ren and Nia worked for hours, experimenting with subtle gestures and sounds. Each time, the patient's body responded with measured blinks, tiny movements of the fingers, and subtle changes in posture. Every signal was deliberate, intelligent. By mid-cycle, Ren realized something remarkable. The patient was not a passive organism. It was active, waiting for verification, waiting for recognition, waiting for humans to show themselves capable of understanding. He felt a mixture of pride and responsibility. Here was proof that human creation had endured, that ingenuity, compassion, and curiosity were still alive in the galaxy. And here was the proof itself, lying on the medbay table, waiting for him and Nia to engage. Ren activated the secondary scanner, designed to map minute energy patterns within biological and synthetic systems. The readings were astonishing. Streams of energy moved within the body, weaving through the cells, tracing the neural networks. The pulses aligned with the blinks, almost like a conversation. It's alive in a way we cannot fully measure, Nia said, her voice calm but excited. It's not just biology. It's information. Consciousness embedded in matter. Ren nodded. Exactly. And it is observing us as much as we observe it. It knows what humans are capable of. It is waiting to see if we live up to that potential. They continued their study, documenting every anomaly, every signal, every blink. They tried communicating using gestures, subtle sounds, and changes in light. Each response from the patient seemed to become more complex, more deliberate, as if it understood the experiment and was engaging willingly. Ren paused to consider the implications. If this patient was a remnant of old human projects, it meant that humans had once created lifelike guardians capable of survival across centuries. These constructs were intelligent, patient, and observant. They were designed to verify, to record, to protect. He glanced at Nia. Do you realize what this means? Whatever this is, it is proof that human ingenuity survived the Great Collapse, that we were not forgotten in the void, that our creations can wait for centuries, searching, learning, observing, until humans are ready to respond. Nia's eyes were wide. It's incredible. And it chose us. Ren felt a sense of responsibility settle over him. This was no longer a medical anomaly. This was a living testament to humanity. He could feel its awareness, its intelligence, even in the quiet blinks of its eyes. He decided to take the next step carefully. He spoke softly. We will do everything we can to understand you. We will not harm you. We will listen and learn, and perhaps you will help us understand the things we have lost. The patient blinked slowly, deliberately. It was a response, recognition, perhaps even approval. Ren recorded the moment. Every gesture, every blink, every subtle signal was documented. He knew that the hospital's equipment could not fully capture the depth of intelligence within the patient. Yet he was determined to try. Hours passed, the orbital sun rising and setting outside the medbay windows. Ren and Nia worked tirelessly, observing, documenting, and attempting communication. Each interaction brought new revelations. Each blink revealed subtle intelligence. Each pause held meaning. By the end of the cycle, Ren felt exhausted but exhilarated. He had witnessed something extraordinary. The patient was alive, aware and waiting for humans to prove themselves. It was a living mystery, a puzzle that challenged everything they knew about life, intelligence, and the potential of human creation. Ren leaned back in his chair, watching the figure on the table. The patient blinked once, slowly, deliberately. It felt like a greeting, or perhaps a test. Either way, Ren knew one thing for certain. Humanity had created something extraordinary, and now, that creation had found its way back to them. The medbay remained quiet, filled only with the hum of machinery and the soft, deliberate blinks of the patient. Outside, the stars spun in silent orbit. Inside, two humans and one extraordinary being shared a moment of recognition that stretched across time, space, and the history of human ingenuity. And somewhere deep within its patterns, the patient waited, patient and aware, for the humans to continue the conversation. The orbital hospital above New Sol was silent except for the quiet hum of machinery. Its long corridors glowed with soft white lights and glass walls reflected the stars outside. Dr. Ren moved quickly through the halls, his boots clicking softly against the metal floor. He carried a small tablet reviewing patient records, his mind focused on the tasks ahead. Years of experience had taught him to remain calm, no matter what unusual case appeared before him. Ren paused outside the medbay. The sliding doors hissed open and he stepped inside. The room was bright and clean, filled with advanced medical equipment. A large scanner hovered over the center table, its mechanical arms poised as if ready to examine something delicate. Ren had seen hundreds of patients today, all accounted for in the hospital's database, all with clear medical histories. But the figure lying on the table was different. It had no identification tag, no genetic record, no digital signature in the system. It was as if this person, or whatever it was, had arrived from nowhere. Ren frowned and ran a hand over his chin. "Hello," he said softly, more to himself than anyone else. "Let's see what we are dealing with." The scanner activated with a low whine, lights moving across the figure's body in a methodical pattern. Ren watched the display on his tablet. He expected to see readings, data, numbers, charts. Instead, the scanner produced a single line of text that made his breath catch. Corrupted data. Ren blinked and leaned closer. The words seemed wrong. Scanners did not make mistakes like this, not on living human bodies. Yet the patient's body remained still, calm, almost serene. The temperature reading was barely registering. The heartbeat sensor fluctuated, showing only a faint suggestion of life. Ren adjusted the scanner and ran the test again. Corrupted data flashed on the screen a second time. His brow furrowed. He checked the connections, recalibrated the scanner, and ran the test a third time. The result was the same. He stepped back, his mind racing. How could a human body show no trace in the system? How could the vitals be almost invisible? And then he noticed something impossible. The figure's eyes moved, once slowly as if to focus on him. It blinked. Ren swore he saw the motion before the scanner even registered a pulse. The room seemed to shift around him. The quiet hum of machines became louder, sharper. Ren reached for the intercom. "Nia, bring the auxiliary scanners, now." Within minutes, technician Nia entered the medbay. Her hair was pulled back into a neat bun, and her blue uniform reflected the lights of the room. She carried 2 portable scanners, advanced models designed to handle unusual readings. "What is it?" she asked, noticing the tension in Ren's posture. Ren motioned toward the table. "I don't know. The system can't read it. It's not in the database, and I swear it moved before the scanner registered anything." Nia raised an eyebrow. "You mean—" The patient blinked. "Yes," Ren said, before any pulse or heartbeat showed up. "Something is different here." Nia set the scanners down and approached carefully. The figure lay perfectly still, eyes closed for a moment, then opened again, focusing on Ren and Nia. Its gaze was calm, steady, almost intelligent. Ren activated the auxiliary scanners. Light swept over the body in intricate patterns. The machines hummed and clicked as they tried to read the vitals. The readings flickered, numbers jumping erratically. Charts appeared, then vanished. The scanners themselves seemed unsure of what they were seeing. "Everything is off," Nia said. "It's as if the body isn't following normal rules." Ren nodded. "Run a neural trace. I want to see the brain activity." As Nia worked, Ren's mind raced. He had encountered strange cases before. Rare mutations, new illnesses, even cases of memory loss that baffled the system. But nothing like this. This patient was not in the system at all. It was as if the person had no past, no history, and now appeared in a hospital orbiting a planet where every living being was registered. The neural trace began to display on the tablet. The lines jumped and twisted, creating patterns that did not make sense. Ren leaned closer. The patterns were not random. They seemed coded, a sequence repeated over and over like a message trying to form. "What is it trying to say?" Ren muttered. Nia shook her head. "It's not human. Not fully. The pattern isn't recognized by the system. I've never seen anything like this." Ren studied the figure again. The body was human in appearance. Skin, limbs, eyes, everything looked normal. But the reading suggested something else. Something unusual was hiding under the surface, inside the nervous system. Something that had the appearance of life but moved differently from anything the hospital had recorded. He felt a chill run down his spine. Not out of fear, but out of awe. Here was something entirely unknown, and it was alive somehow. The figure's eyes blinked again, slow and deliberate. Ren felt as if it was watching him, understanding him. He took a step back, letting the scanners do their work. "Do you think it is aware?" Nia asked softly. Ren did not answer immediately. He studied the eyes, searching for clues. There was intelligence there. Calm intelligence, not animal instinct, not panic. It watched, waiting for something. He remembered the old protocols for unknown life forms. Isolate, analyze, observe. But even as he considered this, he realized the protocols were not enough. This was not a typical medical case. This was something beyond the charts, beyond the vitals, beyond the scanners themselves. Ren activated a secondary monitor. He ran every database he could access. Missing persons, medical logs, genetic archives. Nothing matched, no record. The patient was invisible to the system, yet present in every detail. Every cell, every heartbeat, every neural pattern. Alive, but outside the rules. The lights in the medbay flickered briefly, catching both Ren and Nia off guard. The scanners hummed louder, reacting to the body. And then, just as suddenly, the room returned to normal. Ren took a deep breath. "We need to understand this," he said. "Whatever this is, it is alive, and it is waiting for us to respond." Nia nodded. "But how? Everything is corrupted." Nothing works. Ren looked at the figure again. Its eyes blinked slowly, following him with calm certainty. It was as if the patient was not asking for help. It was asking to be understood. Ren tapped the tablet. We will start with the basics. Non-invasive scans first. No guesses, no assumptions. We will observe, record, and decode. We have to be careful. For hours, they ran tests, watched the patient, and recorded every anomaly. Ren observed how the figure's body reacted to light, to sound, to touch. Each time the scanners tried to interpret it, they displayed errors or simply froze. The patient, however, remained calm. Patiently, it blinked, waited, and seemed to acknowledge every action without fear. By the time the orbital sun began to rise over New Sol, the first part of the day's work was complete. Ren and Nia reviewed the scans. Each anomaly, each corrupted reading was logged. Nothing was ignored. Ren paused and looked at the patient one more time. You are not like anything we have ever known, he said softly. But I promise we will try to understand you. The patient blinked again, slowly, deliberately. It felt like a greeting, or perhaps a promise. Ren was not sure which. For the first time in his career, Ren realized that this was not a medical case. This was a mystery, one that could change everything they knew about life in the galaxy. And as the stars outside the hospital continued to spin in silent orbit, the figure on the table blinked again, waiting for humanity to notice.